Hey everyone, welcome back to Jessie's Hangout. Welcome. This is episode number 9. Holy Toledos. That's a lot of episodes. If you are well aware or haven't known or didn't know, um, I recently made a decision to combine my second channel and my main channel together. I'm going to be moving over my podcast episodes over to this channel, as well as the reviews of gaming and movies onto this channel, due to just wanting to have one big, huge channel. So this channel won't just be all about mobile gaming. It'll also be about gaming reviews and movie reviews, and also my podcast episode or series, Jesse's Hangout. I will leave the other episodes that I do have on my second channel. I still have that up. You guys can still go and watch those episodes um, as well. Um, and with that said, let's get into today's episode. But before I get into today's episode, if you have not seen the first Resident Evil game or see any of the gameplays, go watch them and then come back to this. There are spoilers for 7 and 8 on here. So if you haven't seen those either, go watch those or go play those and then come back to this review and watch it. But anyways, basically the Resident Evil story started back in Raccoon City in 1998. That's where the game story was started at. A corporation called the Umbrella Corporation was a pharmaceutical company, but it also hid the fact that it was studying different viruses and doing viral weaponry and selling it to um, the highest bidder to all over the world for everybody to use it against each other and whatnot. And apparently in 1998 was when the outbreak occurred. Apparently something went wrong in the Alclade Mountains. Um, that was where the mansion was at, and Chris and Jill Valentine were sent out to investigate what happened, along with Barry Burton and the captain of STARS, um, Albert Wesker, and they were sent out to investigate what happened in the mansion, and they were in for some unimaginable horrors. Um, they ended up finding out some things they weren't expecting. They faced off with Albert Wesker, who ended up betraying them. They thought he was dead for a while. They faced off with him at a mansion when they got some intel saying where he was going. He went to Oswald Ease's estate and ended up killing him, and they ended up facing off. Jill and Chris ended up facing off with Albert Wesker, and supposedly when Jill went out the window, she was supposedly dead. And then in Resident Evil 5, Chris ends up getting possibly sightings of his old partner still being alive, and then they get into this whole big craziness. Resident Evil 2 and 3 were ones that were still centered around when the Raccoon City incident was happening. The Resident Evil Chronicles, one of them was based on the rest of the story of Claire and Leon S. Kennedy, and then the other one was just the chronicles about what was going on Umbrella, what was happening in there, and all that type of stuff. Um, and then we had the Resident Evil Revelations, was just little short stories about things that Claire Redfield went through, and Chris and Jill and all them, all their stories. You guys have to go check those out for yourself. And then it leads all the way up to Resident Evil 7 and 8. 7 and 8 are around a different story. This goes way past Leon S. Kennedy's story and Chris' story and Jill's story and Claire's story and Barry Burton's story. This goes past all of them. Basically, this starts with Ethan in 2017 when they went ahead and put the year of the that the game came out uh, and made it the actual year in the game when Ethan was going to find his girlfriend. But basically, in 2014, his girlfriend was, he didn't know that his girlfriend was a scientist helping them study this mold virus that was in the form of a little girl. And she ends up escaping the facility, and a lot of stuff went down in that facility that shouldn't have went down, and the little girl ended up escaping and ended up being um, brought into the Baker home, and some really bad stuff went down. They end up being infected by the virus. They ended up becoming psycho. They ended up doing some really violent, horrific acts in the game, and Ethan ends up becoming entangled in this family and this unimaginable horrors, trying to save his girlfriend from these evil people. And he ends up confronting an ally. Her name was Zoe. Ends up helping him find a way out of the place, and sadly, um, I don't think Zoe ends up being rescued. Um, at the game, but he ends up being rescued by Chris Redfield in the end of the game, and ends up saving his girlfriend and all that. And then after the unimaginable events happened in 7, which was the biohazard, but before I get into 8, 7 was really scary. It was very creepy. It was very twisted and really insane, but it was really good. Really good gameplay, really awesome. A lot of horrors. It really went back to the real core of Resident Evil and the horrors that it really was, and it was just really cool to see it go back to that. And then for them to come out with Resident Evil 8 Village, um, which is 3 years later after the mold incident, and this one was really surprising and really cool in the same way at the same time. Um, so basically, what happened in Resident Evil 8? It centers around 3 years later. Ethan's married to his girlfriend Mia. They have a daughter named Rose. They're kind of settling into life, but it also kind of shows Ethan's personality and how much he struggles with what happened 3 years ago, and how much it's hard for him to let go of what happened, and trying to stay positive, and how his wife is so emotionally um, uh, twisted by what happened, that if you mention it, she gets really snappy about it, and just all the emotions and everything that they both have went through, and then having a daughter, and just being typical scared parents after a really big trauma. And all of a sudden, they get so down at the dinner table, and then all of a sudden, Chris comes in and ends up killing Mia, and he ends up facing off with Chris, trying to figure out why he did this and why he has Rose and all this, and he ends up getting knocked out. And then all of a sudden, without any memories, he wakes up in this village with their car overturned and nobody there. But he ends up waking up in this. Like I said, he ends up waking up in this village, but it's all surrounded by these weird lichens that are strands from the mold virus, and just waking up around a bunch of really imaginable horrors. He ends up facing off with a new evil mother, Miranda. A little bit of backstory about Miranda. Miranda was also one of the um, scientists that was studying the mold, and she ended up becoming consumed by the virus herself, and ended up becoming really psycho, and ends up becoming this character that sets out to do some sort of ritual that has to do with Rose, and he ends up having to try to fight his way through all these four lords in order to face off with Mother Miranda and save his daughter. Now, one of the lords is uh, Lady Demetrius, if I'm saying her name right. She's the lady of the house. She was married to a duke. Um, so she's basically a Europe, Eastern Europe village. Becomes a cross of a type of a cult leader in the village, and can be seen whispering her like a deadly, impulsive footage of Lady Deviant talking to Mother Miranda over the phone. Um, and it becomes clear that even everyone's favorite giantess is a servant to Mother Miranda. Mother Miranda is the four main servant and has four main servants located in different areas of the village. One being Lady Demetrius and the Four Lord factions, the game's main village. Um, she's one of them, and then Lady Demetrius' brother, who's another one of them. Um, and then there's this really creepy doll, and then this really hunchbacked uh, man who's been consumed by the mold virus and ends up becoming this little deformed hunchback. I feel sorry for the guy, but he ends up just becoming that way. Her brother name is Carl Hessenberg. He's one of them. He's like a really twisted dude. Um, Servitor Manor and Manor's Receiver. Um, that's another one that he's the hunchback. And then we got the doll boss, which is Diana Bento and House Bento. She's controls this weird doll, and it's just really weird. Um, you have to face off four of these lords to find different pieces that represent Rose, and it ends up being placed into this ritual thing where all four of the parts that you get from each lord and all four of the keys that you get, you can unlock different areas and find different things as well as you're facing off these four lords. And once you have faced it, you face off Mother Miranda, and you and you save Rose. And then the ending, I wasn't really expecting the ending to happen the way it did, but I thought that maybe Ethan would live, but after everything that he's been through, and he wanted to end this for his daughter. He just wanted to finally let it just be over and let it rest with him. So he took the detonator that had the bomb, uh, that was the detonator for the bombs that Chris had placed throughout the village, and he took it himself. And before he died, he hit the button and it blew the whole village up. But Chris was able to get his wife and his daughter out of there safely from the village, and the four lords and Miranda ended up dead. Um, it was a really sad ending to Ethan's story, but that was the ending of Ethan's story. That's what happened to him. I don't know what 9 and 10 will bring. I don't know. This was actually the third one in 3 years. It was the remakes and then these two. So I don't know what 9 and 10 will bring. We'll have to see what happens in the future or what other stories they come across. Um, but that was the story of Ethan, and then his daughter. It shows his daughter a couple of years later, all grown up, and then ends up working with these people of some sort. It doesn't really say what happened to his girlfriend, or if his girlfriend or his wife is still alive. It doesn't say if Rose's mother's still alive or not. I don't know. Um, it just shows Rose visiting her father's grave for his birthday, and that was it. So it'll be very interesting to see. Uh, it'll be very interesting to see what happens. It really will. It makes you also wonder that when there was the Resident Evil Revelations, um, it almost reminded you of that little girl that Barry had bumped into, um, that was rescued by a terror save worker. Um, it almost kind of reminds you of that in a way. It's kind of strange, but anyway, we'll see what happens. I mean, we can all make our assumptions as to what happened. I'm pretty sure it might have something to do with Rose, and I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing Chris again, and I'm pretty sure we'll probably be seeing Leon or Claire or one of the characters again. But we'll see what happens. But it ends on a really uh, strange note, but it's a really good game. The graphics are really good. Um, Now that Lady D, I'm just gonna say it Lady D instead because I can't say her name for the life of me. Lady D being a 9'6" woman, that lady is very tall, and I really, really would never want to tango with that woman. And the doll was so creepy. I don't know what made him possessed to come up with a doll, but that was just really creepy. Um, the other dude, that was the hunchback boss, Salvador. I felt bad for that guy because he was just so twisted by the mold virus and mutated by it, and from what Mother Miranda put him through, and just kind of all the stuff that he had been through. You almost feel bad for him more than anything because it was just more like he was just her puppet. They all were, and it was just very, very, very twisted. And Mother Miranda was even more twisted. I don't know about you, but that woman was really creepy, but not as creepy as Lady D was. Lady D was creepy. Now that boss fight was creepy, and so was her brother Cal. Cal, he was definitely no fun. Those two were definitely really crazy. The doll, the doll was just absolutely downright horrifying. Just ugh. I don't even want to go there. So it was a very intense, very action packed. Um, this ending was very bittersweet. Um, it was kind of nice to know that Chris really wasn't the villain that we all thought he was gonna be in this movie. So, or not movie, in this video game. Um, but I would be really, really curious just to see what happens because before it went off to the clip of his daughter being grown up, they were on to the Europe BSAA station headquarters. Um, but it was just really, really interesting. So I think there's going to be a lot of good stuff to come in Resident Evil 9. I have a feeling this is going to be really, really cool. We're going to be seeing a lot of action in probably 9. And it's probably going to have something to do with what happened at the Bold Village and with it. I don't think we've seen the last of that. And I know we haven't seen the last of Chris at all. Chris looked completely different. He looked the same, but he looked really different. He looked a lot older in this one. Um, but he looked really good. He looked really, 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 really good. Considering all the stuff that he's been through, um, which is crazy. But I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more of him in the next one, and I have a feeling it's going to be a bit crazy. I don't think it quite ended where it started. It may have ended Ethan's story, but I know Chris is still going, and I know Leon's story is still going, and I know for sure, without a doubt, we're going to be seeing Clara and Jill sometime in the future. So who knows? That's my kind of theory on that one, and my opinion of both games. You guys should really go check them out. I highly, highly recommend you guys go play them. They're really good games. The movies, they're okay. I'm still kind of how I was saying they were. They weren't the best, but they weren't awful. But some people might think that way, but that's just me. Um, but you really, really should go check out 7 and 8, Biohazard and Village. Really good games. Both PS games. They're both from Capcom. They're PS5 games. Capcom's responsible. Oh, also before I leave, this game back, I think it was back last year or the year before, Capcom collabed with a mobile game called Life After, and they did a collaboration with them twice, and it was a really, really cool. I wish was able to leave the videos up for that, but it was really, really cool. We got to face off with the Nemesis boss, the Mr. X. I'm gonna call him Mr. X because that's what he looks like. And then we got to face off with William Blinken, and we got to go through the Raccoon City Police Department area and fight off zombies, and it was just really, really cool. Um, I really enjoyed that crossover. That was a good crossover. So I thought I'd put that in there. But anyways, to all of you gamers and Resident Evil fans, I hope you guys will go check them out. Go check out all the games, the remakes, and those two. I highly recommend those games. I hope you guys have an awesome day or night wherever you're watching this from. Also, before I completely end it, totally forget, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and that notification bell, and leave a thumbs up or leave a like, and comment below what your favorite Resident Evil game is. And again, I will catch you guys in my next video. Laters.